Why was Joseph sold by his brothers? KJV Bible story explained. What if I told you betrayal was the very thing God used to fulfill prophecy? Why would Joseph's own brothers sell him into slavery? And was God still in control? Is Joseph's suffering a tragedy or part of a divine plan hidden in Genesis? The story of Joseph reveals how God turns betrayal into blessing. What looks like rejection in the Bible is often the beginning of destiny. A story of betrayal and destiny. Joseph's story in Genesis is one of the most powerful narratives in Scripture. It includes family betrayal, slavery, false accusation, prison, rise to power. But behind it all is one question. Why was Joseph sold by his brothers? Joseph was a chosen son. Genesis 37 verse 3, KJV. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children. Joseph was favored by his father Jacob. The coat of many colors. Genesis 37 verse 3, KJV. And he made him a coat of many colors. This symbolized favor, destiny, separation from his brothers. Jealousy enters the story. Genesis 37 verse 4, KJV. They hated him and could not speak peaceably unto him. His brothers resented him, felt rejected, became jealous. Joseph's dreams. Joseph dreamed, his brothers bowing, the sun, moon, and stars bowing. This was prophecy of leadership. Why his brothers hated him more? Because Joseph shared his dreams. Instead of understanding prophecy, they saw pride. The plot to kill Joseph. Genesis 37 verse 18, KJV. They conspired against him to slay him. Jealousy turned into violence. Reuben intervenes. Reuben tries to save him, prevents murder, suggests throwing him in a pit. The pit experience. Joseph is rejected, thrown into a pit, left alone. Symbol of suffering before promotion. Joseph is sold. Genesis 37 verse 28, KJV. They sold Joseph for 20 pieces of silver, betrayed by family, sold like a slave. God's hidden plan. Even in betrayal, God was still working. Joseph in Egypt. Joseph enters. Slavery. Foreign land. Unknown future. False accusation. Later, wrongly accused. Imprisoned. Forgotten. What if I told you? The pit, the prison, and the betrayal were not the end of Joseph's story, but the path to his purpose? Joseph interprets dreams. In prison, he interprets dreams, gains favor, prepares for promotion. From prison to palace, Joseph is elevated to second in command of Egypt. God's purpose revealed. Later Joseph says, Genesis 50 verse 20, KJV. Ye thought evil against me, but God meant it unto good. Human betrayal versus divine purpose. Why God allowed it? Because through Joseph, Israel is preserved. Famine is survived. Prophecy continues. God often uses rejection, suffering, delay to fulfill destiny. Joseph as a type of Christ. Joseph reflects Jesus, betrayed by his own, sold for silver, suffered unjustly, later exalted. Why was Joseph sold by his brothers? According to the King James Bible, his brothers were driven by jealousy and hatred. They rejected his God-given dreams. They sold him into slavery out of betrayal. But God was sovereign over the entire process. And what was meant for evil became salvation for many. And the greatest truth is this: God can turn betrayal into purpose, pain into promotion, and rejection into destiny.